Welcome, everybody, to another episode of your favorite talk show, Voices Behind the Mask. And I'm your host, none other than Alicia Hood. What is Voices Behind the Mask? Voices Behind the Mask is a talk show where we unmask real people with real stories that are intended to impact and transform your life. So today, we don't have a story, we have history. And let's break that down in HIS. So it's his story. So today we have his story. And with us today, we have a very special guest in the house, and that is Mr. Norman Gordon, otherwise called the Poetry Man. All right, so grab onto your seats. I know you're excited. You know, that's my favorite word. I realize, and everybody, I'm excited. I'm just always excited. So I guess that those are my favorite words. So listen, you are going to listen to this story with the intention that this is going to transform your life, and you're going to level up. You are going to level up because this is your season. Now is your season to go, to grow, and to glow into your purpose. If you have not subscribed to the VIP room, this is the time to do so, because we are going to be off the chain this afternoon, this evening. I'm sorry, we're going to be off the chain in that room this evening. So you need to be inside there. All right, because there's going to be a big old twist. So if you've already paid for your VIP experience, you are in for a great treat. And if not, I will encourage you at this time to go ahead and pay for the subscribe to the VIP room. If you have not subscribed to our new and improved VBM channel, you should do so now. Go to YouTube, click the link. It is Voices International at VBM. Voices International at VBM. You can search for that in YouTube. Just go there and subscribe. It costs you nothing to subscribe. All right, just go and subscribe, because what we're doing, the hope was that this week we'd have gone YouTube live, but we did not get enough subscriptions. So we will be doing that next week. So jump on and subscribe. And if you miss episode 1 and you miss episode 2, guess what? They are live on YouTube. So you can go to YouTube and you can watch those episodes, and you can share with somebody who you think needs this. And if you know somebody who has a story, tell them that time is running out and they need to connect. And my tech team will also be putting a link in the chat, and that link is going to allow you to make an appointment for your pre-interview if you are that person. Because guess what? We're already filled. There are no more spots for April. April is filled. There are no more spots for May. May is filled. And can I tell you that we have already started filling up June, and June is almost over with. So listen, if you know somebody who needs to get in before the season closes out this August, tell them that they need to make their appointment. All right, what did I tell you? Bigger and better. All right, go ahead and subscribe. Again, thank you all so much for joining us this evening on Voices Behind the Mask. And you know my favorite word, I'm excited, because I'm always excited. All right, and so I'm excited to have our guest with us. And this guest hails out of St. Mary, Jamaica. And his name is Norman Gordon, and most people know him as the Poetry Man. All right, so Norman Gordon is from St. Mary, like I just told you. He attended Dintil Technical High School in Linstead, St. Catherine. He's a husband, a father, an author, poet, public speaker, writer, youth mentor, life coach. He's actively involved in working with schools in and around his community with track and field athletes. So listen, you know, he sounds a lot like the female version, the male version of me, right? Because he is into a whole bunch of stuff, but that is what purpose is. If you know what God has placed inside of you, you run that course, whatever it is. And the scripture will tell you that some of us get a little more than the next person, all right? But whatever it is that God has given you, you need to run with that. And if you buy a copy, and yes, you are hearing a little about me, you hear a lot about the guests every single week, but in the introduction, if you were early enough, you know that I also have a book. I have written 3 books. Let me take this out, this is a marker. I wrote 3 books, and this is called Broken But Not Shattered, A Journey of Intentionally Shifting from Pain into Purpose. And if you are that person who has limiting beliefs, you don't know where you're going, you need to get some perspective as far as your life is concerned, you need to clear your trajectory, this is the book to get. It serves also as a personal journal where you do reflections after every single chapter, and it's all about you. All right, so go ahead and get a copy of the book. I also have 2 other books, and they're all on Amazon, and you can also purchase. Again, there's a link in the chat where you can connect with us via email, or you can make an appointment. So we have this other book. It is Recite Your Letters with Ali Rabbit. And then we have this book. Oh, it's upside down. Then we have this book here. It's Learn the Letters A to Z in Sign Language. And so this is for everybody, the children, the grannies, the middle age, everybody. All right. So again, thank you all so much for joining us. And so as we, if you, like I said, if you were here earlier, you know, in the introduction, you'd have seen a lot more about me, because the question might be asked, you know, why is she doing this? You know, what does she do? So now you know. All right, Norman, thank you so much again for being with us here today. And usually we start our interview with what we call, and anybody who usually comes on know we call these dodging questions, you know. And I think just for me, I just love childhood. And as a motivational speaker, author as well, I believe, you know, and a transformational coach, I strongly believe that everything that people do starts in their childhood. What the adult you become, something happened in your childhood to create that person. And so I love to go back, you know, I love to go back. So let's go back to St. Mary. Tell us some about some of those fun, so those of us who are not from St. Mary, because I'm not from St. Mary, all right? Tell us about 2, you know, of the most interesting and fun things that you did as a child.
It's beautiful. Well, let me say, first of all, a glorious evening to everyone on the platform. Also a glorious evening, morning, everything to the persons who will be listening this after today. Childhood. You know, it was interesting. Trips to the river was good as a child. You understand me? Going through, eating the fruits from the tree, the papaya, the pineapples, and all those things, because where the river was you had to walk a distance. And I used to walk through a farm. And as I walk through the farm, I'll find a guava, a guinea here, mango there, that sort of thing, especially when it comes on the summertime. You know, so that's one of the beautiful things, you know, my childhood days. And the next thing, it was going out at Christmas time. No, absolutely wonderful indeed. You know, because, you know, you meet a lot of people, your friends and all those things from school. So 2 things, yeah.
All right. And I guess most of us who are from the islands, we can, you know, agree with that. I was never a river person. I know most people will come on last week's guest, you know, love the river too. I guess that's a lot of people, but I'm not a river person. It's funny, people always ask me, you know, you're from the islands, but I'm not a sun person, I'm not a beach person, neither. But I'll sit on the beach and watch other people run up and down, but that's about it. But give me a shade, you know. But the fruit trees, the fruit trees. You touched on one fruit that was my favorite. Oh my God, the guava. Oh Lord, we had this guava that I call it the sour guava. I don't even know if it has another name.
Mhm.
But I call it the sour guava. But that guava was so good. I'd go there like right after school, to get guavas and so on. And like last week, I mentioned Mass Jar Swing Song. Mass Jar Swing Song. Man, when they shove you in that swing, you don't know where you're going because it's really, really high. You're going all the way up there, but oh my God, I love that swing. Thank you so much for sharing that experience with us. So as we mention a little about childhood, your story started out, you know, in your childhood. And we don't hear a lot from the males because females are more open to have these type of discussions. So I just want to say thank you so much. Thank you so much for consenting. This is really good to just sit and listen. And I'm sure that everybody here is like, okay, here's a man who is about to bare his soul. I don't know if you're going to bare your whole soul, but let's see. All right. So your experience started out as a child. Again, like I said, whatever experiences we go through as a child, this is what, fashions us to become the adults that we are. And we have to be very careful how we treat our children, how we grow our children. So could you just, start at the beginning?
You know, I really appreciate this opportunity. And I must say, I'm one of those males who differ. Um, childhood, childhood, childhood. The era that has shaped me into what I've become. The era that was bitter, but it has made me better and made me sweeter. The era that has motivated me to writing this book, Island Thoughts, Volume 1. It was an era where I watched the man who I saw as my hero, the man I loved so much, ill-treating the woman I loved so much. I said to myself, I have two persons here whom I love so much. One is on the calm side and accepting everything that is being given by the person who is loud and harsh or loud and aggressive, giving her everything. That man I loved was my father. That woman I loved was my mother. I don't know what she did to have deserved
That type of treatment.
that type of treatment from my father. But then again, nothing a person can do that warrants that treatment. It was three of us as children in the home. And it doesn't matter how much we were in his sight. He chose to be that man who just didn't care. He felt that he could just take up his hand and just hit her like that. And I remember my baby sister, she was like 2 years old. And I don't know if it happens now, but in those days, early 1980s, I could be 4 years old because we were like 2 years apart.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, my father had a bottle of concoction. Now, where he placed it was in the reach of children.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a 2-year-old is curious. A
That's
2-year-old
right.
throw tantrums out of curiosity. The 2-year-old baby took up the bottle. The bottle broke. In that bottle was, I think, he had a centipede, bits and pieces of marijuana, and rum, white rum.
They use it like for headaches and fever and stuff like that.
Right, types of ailments. Yes, indeed. So, yes, it was valuable to him. But he gave me a belt some time ago as a gift. And when he discovered the bottle have been broken, he took that belt and he did so bad to my 2-year-old sister.
Wow.
My mother saw what was happening, and knowing that it's her baby, she just went and she took her up and she held my sister tightly like this. And when she lifted the baby and held the baby, she was sitting down. The man was still beating the baby.
Oh my God.
Now, you know, it's now reaching my mother because my sister was tiny. So she hugged him. She hugged her tightly enough for her not to be seen. And she was the one who received the beatings. So the beating now would have become a 2-for-1.
So it was not, so the abuse was not, it was not just your mom who was being abused. As children, you were abused too.
As children, we were abused.
Physically abused. Mm-hmm.
You understand me? And then even verbally, because he was a person who loved the expletives. So we got it a lot, right? I can remember, well, my mother is 3 children. And I think she made a decision that she wouldn't have anymore. We're like 2 years apart. So my big sister, 6 years old. I was like 4. My baby sister was like 2 years old. So because obviously he started a cycle. So knowing that he started a cycle, obviously he wanted child number 4. My mother made a decision not to have child number 4. And let me tell you something.
Question, how old was your mom?
That's a good question. I think she said she started having children at 16 years old. So this would make her maybe 20 years old, 21.
She was a teenage mother.
She was a teenage mother because she dropped out of high school, right? And she made a decision that this is it. Because she would have left her parents' house because of the situation. And let me tell you something. The abuse, the physical and verbal abuse she went through because of that, you wouldn't believe it. Now, as a 3, 4, 5-year-old child, I watched him just all her off of the bed in front of us children. And let us call it, maybe it's a time when so-called nature call. Now this was like nighttime, but he thinks within himself, he thought within himself that, hey, I need you, so you have to come to me. And you know, several nights we were just there as children in the house, crying like crazy because this man was batter abusing our mother. I remember one time, you know, I heard my sister, my little sister and I were there, and we heard the rumbling in the house. And when we went, it was our father with our mother pinned between 4 chair legs. And he was like putting punches and kicks and slaps in the face and all those things. Pretty devastating. We were helpless. So we had to just watch what was taking place and cry. However, she made a decision to leave his house. And how she made the decision to leave his house, and this is later, she confessed to me that I woke up one morning, and I said to her, Mama, I dreamt that Daddy broke your hand. And my mother said to me the day before that he told her that he was going to break her hand if she doesn't leave his house. When I gave her the dream, she started packing right away. So she left his place. But when she left his place, obviously because she's gone, he wasn't giving us the attention we were supposed to get from a father. No, I think now it reached a point where my mother is really frustrated, because it reached a point where it's like she had a mental problem. You know, she wasn't taking care of herself, well, in terms of her hair was raggedy, her clothes, and you know, she just walked with a knit on her brow. And you know, she used to beat us a lot. She used to beat us a lot, believe me.
So the abuse was after your mother left. The abuse was now transferred to you. So out of maybe frustration and so on, whatever. So we're just assuming. But one of the things that, as I'm sitting here and I'm listening to you, you were 4.
I was like 4 years old. Yeah, I was like 4 years old. Yes, when my mother was leaving his house, I could be 5, 6 years old.
Yeah, but when you started seeing and really recognizing what was really going on,
yeah,
you were 4. And
yes.
so a lot of times, even as an educator myself, we don't realize the impact as adults that our actions are having on our kids, because what was interesting for me is that it's so vivid. You know, you're able to explain, because you're basically, you can still see everything that was happening. And so we need to be mindful, you know, of what we do in front of our kids. But, you know, I just interjected there, and, you know, you can continue. Tell us about now, when you said, no, you moved, your mom decided to leave. And after leaving, no, your dad wasn't there anymore, but no, your mom was now abusing you and your siblings.
Right, because by now she would have moved back in with her parents.
What was that situation like? What was the setup like?
It was a huge family. It was beyond extended, because her nieces and nephews were living there as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a house that was really, really, you know, packed.
Full.
Yes,
full house.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, which, you know, when she started beating us, it didn't matter who said to stop. She would never stop, you know. She would never stop. And I think that's how frustrated she was. Because, you know, now sometimes there was nothing to give us to eat. Yes.
So your father was not supporting you, supporting the children?
Every now and again. But for him to do it, I would have to go to his house. Now, when I go there, my sisters and I, we would go there. When we go, he would like say to us, all right, come tomorrow. Now, when we go tomorrow, we don't see him. But consistency reaped benefits. So we kept on going there until I think it reached a point where he said, okay, let me give them something. But he seldom supported us. Yes? So we bonded well. We bonded well as children. What one felt, the other felt. So if one
And
of
you were
them,
the only boy, you said, right?
only boy, I was the middle one. So I
So
was
two
between,
girls, one boy.
yes, indeed.
Mhm.
Yes, indeed. 2 girls, 1 boy. Now, how some people operate is this. If you come to my mother and say to her, Norman did this, she doesn't want to know from Norman if he did it. All she knows is, Norman, I was told that Norman did something and deserves
A
scolding,
beating. Mhm.
a beating, and the beating was serious beating, believe me. I get some dangerous slaps in my face.
Wow.
You understand me?
How
Even
old were you at that time? How old were you now?
to be 8, 9 years old, right? 8, 9 years old. And, you know, it got to a point where I said to her, why didn't you people just kill me?
Wow.
Because it was pretty frustrating. Sometimes my mother beat me badly and I go to my father trying to get his comfort, his attention. And all I got was expletives telling me to come out, get out of his yard.
Wow. And
So
you're at 8 years old, you're going through all that.
yes, 8, 9 years old, yeah, right? 8, 9 years old. You know, and yeah, because that was the 3rd grade. And I would go back to my mother. My mother would scold me again because I left and went to my father. I was saying to myself, I'm seeking comfort
You're just trying to find comfort from somebody.
from somebody. So
And
I
these
go,
are the individuals who should be protecting you at the time.
that's right. So parent number 1 didn't give me the attention. Parent number 2 pushed me away. Or parent number 1 was, let me say, abusing me. Parent number 2 was pushing me away. One Friday afternoon, she beat me so badly that I said to myself, this is it. This is it. So my little sister and I were close. And my little sister and I were together after I got the beating. And I found a piece of rope.
Wow.
I took the piece of rope. I tied it around my neck. And based upon what I was feeling,
8, 9.
8, 9. So I could be like 9 years old now. And I said, no more of this. I went to the back of the house where there was a mango tree. And with one end of the rope around my neck, I used this hand to try and toss the other end over a hanging limb. My little sister, I didn't know she was watching me so closely because I ran around the back. And she came, started screaming. So, you know, she would be 7 years old going to 8.
Mm-hmm.
And she cried out. Now we're in our 40s, we're so close, you wouldn't believe it. And, you know, she said, no, Norman, don't do it. No, Norman, don't do it. No, Norman, don't do it.
So that 7-year-old, years old, she understood, you know, that you're going to die. And when you die, you're never coming back. And I get.
She understood. We were closely connected, right? And she understood what it would be like to die. When she screamed out, I released the rope. When I released the rope, I removed it from my neck. And she and I were at the back there, and I don't remember what we spoke about, but I was somewhat relieved
that you didn't do it.
That I didn't do it. Because I didn't want to leave my little sister. I was still frustrated. So what I did when it got to like between 7:30 and 8 o'clock, I packed a bag because there was this, it's not coaster, but those big buses. This bus was called, they call it Super, S-U-P-A. And I know the time Super goes to Portland.
So it's one of those big country bus.
One of those big country buses, right? I know that Super goes to Portland.
I think we had one called North Star. Not too sure. I think what was the name.
Right. Well, and in St. Mary we had Northern Queen and Uncle Sonny. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, I made a decision to just leave. I had money because I'm a saver. Precisely 8:30 the night.
And you said you usually get money, like you'd ask people to, you know, sweep under their tree and stuff like that.
Yeah, because there was this man who lived like 5 minutes away. Sometimes I would go and you know, ask him to sweep his yard because the apple tree deposited a lot of leaves. So I would just watch until the leaves are there piled up and just go and clean up for him. So that's how I got my monies. So the night When I went on the bus, I said to the conductor, I'm going to Portland. He said, we're in Portland. I said, I'm going to Prospect. Now, I knew of the name Prospect. I've never been to Portland, but I heard the name Prospect before. The bus got to a point, and the conductor shouted to the driver, someone is coming off at Prospect.
You know that was your stop.
I know that was my stop. And by this time, the number of people on the bus would have been lessened. And I got off. The bus stopped on the left, and I had to cross the street to go to Prospect, the place I didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
When I went on the road, I think it was the first house on the left. I knocked. So this would be like closer to 10 o'clock because it's like, it could be like maybe 45, 50 minutes or so. So that's end of Portland. And I called, a female came out. When she came out, I saw a little girl and a little boy looking outside as well. The girl could have been my age. The boy could have been my baby sister's age. She came to me and she said to me, what do you want? I said, I'm looking for my aunt, and her name is Miss Monica. I didn't have a aunt by that name, but it was just a relief.
Yeah, you needed somewhere to stay.
I needed somewhere to stay. I just needed that getaway. I wasn't getting the attention. She invited me in. Fortunately, she did. And obviously she was spiritually led. She let me in. We had a lovely conversation. She gave me something to eat. She questioned me, so where is your mother? And I said to her, my mother is at home, but I'm here to see my auntie, Monica. So she said to me, where does your auntie live? I said, my auntie lives, she told me that she lives in Prospect. I said, but this is Prospect, so where is she? I said, I don't know because I've never been here before. But my auntie said she lives in Prospect. I slept well that night. And in the morning.
And I'm assuming that in a long time, maybe that was the best sleep you had. Not worrying about anybody hitting you or going through anything.
Indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So in the morning, that would be Saturday morning, I left. And I went back on the same bus I took the night. That's super, because it has a time it goes back to St. Mary, then Utterus.
And you said you had not necessarily had experience in Portland, but you usually travel to Kingston on the bus. So
yes, I usually traveling to Kingston on the bus, but you know, you don't have to go to Portland to go to Kingston because Portland was further east. Kingston will be on the other side. So if you want to get to Kingston from Portland, I think you'd have to go to through St. Thomas. That would make any sense. You know, why do 2 hours when you could do like 50 minutes from St. Mary to Kingston?
Yeah, I know the road. I have driven on that road.
All right, fine. Yeah. So you know, I went back home in the morning. Though by now my mother would have been gone to church because she goes to church on a Saturday. You know, so I went in, put on my bag, unpacked and thing. Well, nobody questioned me. When she came back home, she didn't question me at all either. But I was so relieved. I was so relieved. Thanks be to God. Growing. Older. I think her attitude changed a bit because I think she was finding out that I was really frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
And then, we'll be getting older. So to hold us and beat us, it would, pose a challenge.
And I don't know your mom, but situations that are similar. Maybe what happened is that, like you said, it initially, she might have been frustrated.
Yeah.
And now because of everything that she had gone through and hurt people, and a lot of people don't understand this. It comes in many different forms, but hurt people. And it's sad to know that, she was hurt by your dad. And now maybe who is being hurt is you, her child. And sometimes she might have just gotten to that point and realized because she was going through a lot. Hence, that's why I said come to the VIP room. Why we have a mental health practitioner in the VIP, we have our own mental health practitioner in the VIP room, because a lot of times the stuff that we go through, we are, there are still runoffs, or, we can identify some of the issues so that somebody don't make the same mistake. So that could have been the situation with your mom where, she had just gotten to a place where she was growing, she was healing. And so with healing, comes a different type of temperament. So tell me a little now about, so you were older, your mother's attitude changed. So the abuse wasn't there before, but now you were at a different stage in life. Take me to when you pass your exam now for Dintil, because Dintil is, I live close to Dintil. You're in St. Mary. Dintil is in St. Catherine. So that change came. Take us through that walk.
Right. So I matriculated to Dintil Technical High School. Indeed, fact and non-verbal. I was like, what? Going on to 14 years old. My father contributed to the first year. That was good. The second year was really shaky. He didn't contribute much. I was still in St. Mary, but by then, he would have left St. Mary to live in St. Catherine, Spanish Town to be exact, right? So we were not in touch with him at all. No form of contact. He would sometimes, come to St. Mary, but just for a short period of time, and left, because I think he would have started making a family there. One day, he came to St. Mary and said, I should pack my things. I'm going with him. I did what he said. My mother was aware of me going. However, he did not say where I was going.
But your assumption was that he was taking you home with him.
My assumption was, that's right. He was taking me home with him. I felt good, because, hey, I'm reconnecting with my father.
And every boy needs his dad.
Every boy needs his dad. When we entered a subdivision, he said to me, do you know where you're going? I said, no. How could I have known? Excuse me. Then I got to a house and saw some cousins I haven't seen in like 6, 14, in like 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
This was the house of my auntie. She was off the island, so it was my uncle-in-law with their 3 sons.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I settled. But when my father brought me there, he left me and I didn't see him again.
Wow.
I didn't see him again. So no, I'm
How
in.
did you survive, like in terms monetarily? Who took care of you?
Good question. Thanks for asking. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. One of my cousins, he sometimes shares money with me. So I had enough to go to school. And sometimes my mother would ask someone to transport money from St. Mary to me. That seldom happened because she would have had my 2 sisters who she could hardly provide for. But my cousins helped me out. I would go to school sometimes without money or so. And I had friends who helped me out. And that was what they shared with me. When I really don't have it sometimes, because I didn't ask my uncle-in-law for anything, what I did, I just go out the gate, ask for a ride on a taxi. When I get to Spanish Town, I ask for a ride on a bus and I get to school. But as I said, some of my friends would have understood my situation
And help you out.
and and would have made a decision to assist me, and that was good.
When did you see your dad the first time after that?
It took about, I think when I was going on to, it could be when I was maybe, I can't remember where, but it could be a year.
Mm-hmm.
It could be a year. It could be a year. All I know is, I think my uncle-in-law was going through a phase because he had to be fending for 3 sons. I think it got to a point where he was being stretched. So he went to look for my father. So he came in one day and said to me, "Norman, look who I've found." And when I say he said to me, "Look who I've found," I looked outside, it was my daddy. So he came, he contributed something, but he went away again for another, I think 8 or 9 months or so. So I was like literally on my own. When I got to 4th form, my school fee was supposed to be paid. By this time, my screen is dark.
Yeah.
All right, let me see if I can flip the light on. Excuse me, please. I don't know why. I don't know why it's dark, but let me try something. If I can flip some light. Thank you so much for that break.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
I guess because you were flowing, you didn't realize, and sometimes you can see everything that's going on.
Yes, I was flowing so much that I didn't
That's
notice
fine.
that.
That's fine.
Right.
Go ahead.
Yes, but by this time, I would have known where he lives because my uncle-in-law sneakily brought me to his house.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I went there and I said to him, "My school fee is supposed to be paid." He told me that he's going to come and pay the school fee for me. He's going to sell a cow because he had cows in St. Mary.
Mm-hmm.
I was there waiting on my school fee.
You're still waiting on it, not today.
I'm still waiting on my school fee. I'm still waiting on my school fee. Sorry, I'm still waiting on my school fee. Good. So I didn't see him. When it was time for CXC exams, I went and visited him and told him about the exams. He told me again that he's going to sell a cow and come with the money. I'm still waiting on the exam fees. I left Dintel, and
How were your exam fees paid?
they were not paid, so I didn't do any exams.
Wow.
You understand me? My mother didn't have it. I asked her, but she didn't have it because she had my 2 sisters, and she could hardly find it for them. And then later I learned that when my mother saw my father in St. Mary and asked for money from my sisters, when she asked for that support, he said to me, he's unable to support them because he was already supporting me in Spanish Town. I had a bigger sister who maliced me because
she thought you were the one who was getting all the money and they're not getting anything.
Right. And she's on the other side, as if she has her mother is not my mother. It was years after she confessed to me that the reason why she maliced me is because my father told she and her mother that he was taking care of me. They had it that I was getting everything and they were getting nothing, but I was not seeing my father as often as they thought I was seeing him. And it seemed as if she and her mother thought I was living with my father.
Wow.
And I wasn't living with him. So I left Dintil.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask you. So now you left Dintil and you said you
yes,
registered yourself in school. Tell us about that experience.
No, Excelsior Community College. I am a go-getter.
Mm-hmm.
I am a go-getter. I had low self-esteem to a point because of what I was facing with my mother and father, because all I heard was these loud and aggressive people in my ear. So it sort of diminished my growth. Mm-hmm. Fine. So, oh gosh, having left Dintil, I learned of Excelsior Community College through one of my cousins because he attended Excelsior Community College. Mm-hmm. I've never been there, but I went to the stadium, and I know it was beside the stadium. I should say. And I went there. I enrolled. I did every talking and every filling out of forms for myself. Mm-hmm. For myself, I did everything. Even though I was living with my uncle-in-law, I didn't ask him to do a thing for me because I saw that he was growing frustrated because he was going through
his own situation,
mm-hmm. own situations, and some real personal situations. I understood that because even when I was supposed to do my exams, he said to me, "Why didn't you come to me and say to me?" And so I said, "I realized that you were going through a period, mm-hmm. and I didn't want to interrupt."
So tell us now 2 things. One, how did you get to school? And what happened in school?
Excelsior Community College.
Yeah, how did you get to school? Now you didn't have anyone send you to school. How did you pay your school fee? How did you do all that?
Thank you so much for that. We lived in a housing development. When it comes on to Christmas time, we usually, my uncle-in-law usually purchase bottled beverages. Mm-hmm. I used to go at a shop around the corner.
Sell the bottles. I know those days.
Yes. Mm-hmm. My uncle, he was off the island for a period of time. Gladly, he brought a share. So I used to cut hair on the veranda to make my money. Mm-hmm. Yes, I was able to travel to mountain.
That's how you are able to go to school.
To go to Excelsior Community College. Mm-hmm. But when I went there, I had no money to pay for registration fee. I had nothing. nothing.
Wow.
But this man named Mr. Atkinson, he was responsible for the department I was in. That's the auto mechanics department. When I enrolled, I told him that I had no money. I asked my father for money to enroll in Excelsior Community College because I went to his house to see him. He was living in a remote area. Violence flare up at times. So I couldn't have gone there so often. And I think it was a good escape from me
for him.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So anyways, he said to me, he's going to sell a piece of property in Portland to give me the $6,500 to pay the enrollment fee.
So the cow's finished selling now. Now he's selling the land.
The cow's finished selling. Now he's selling the land. I must say to you, you went and sold the land. I'm sure about that. Because
he did sell the land.
He did sell the land. Because one of my uncles transported him. He did sell the land.
Wow.
I'm still waiting on the $6,500. It got to a point where I enrolled because, colleges and universities would not be September. It would be like October for enrollment. So I went. One day, we were in the assembly area. It's set up like a cinema, beautiful room. Mr. Atkinson said, the persons who have not yet paid their school fee, please stand. It was like 20-something of us. Praises be. I was among the 20-something. But I looked around the room before I stood up.
You had company, so you stood.
I had company, so I rode.
Okay.
A few weeks after that, he came again. The persons who have not paid their enrollment fee, please stand. I was still sitting. I saw about 6 or so people.
So you have company again?
Again, I stood.
So you were able to stand.
A few weeks after that, he came again. The persons who have not paid their enrollment fee, stand. I was still seated. Nobody was standing. Nobody got up. So what I did, I just got up and left the room. I discontinued the course. I was doing.
You never went back. That was it.
Never went back. Honestly, I didn't feel so good. But I should have.
I'm not Michael Jackson.
I should have exercised my usual resilience, but I did not, because honestly, I felt so bad. I felt so bad. As I said, I discontinued the course. And I'm still waiting on my dad for the enrollment fee.
All right, so let us fast forward. So you left.
Yes.
Just give us some insight, quickly just give us some insight on, after leaving Excelsior, how did you take care of yourself?
Wonderful question. Wonderful question. I had my driver's license because, all right, I got my driver's license when I was like 20 years old. And I must say this, before Excelsior Community College, immediately as I left Intel, yes, I went for a summer job. I did a summer job at B&J Equipment Rental on Maxfield Avenue. Right, so I had some money from that as well. Good. So then I left to Excelsior. When I discontinued, I started running taxi.
So how did you get a car?
Okay. One of our friends live like 2 houses away from us. He gave me his car. Yes.
He loaned you his car or he gave you his car?
Well, he loaned me his car.
Okay, got you. I just wanted to clarify that.
I was working for both of us.
Mm-hmm.
I was
So,
working
you know, that and those were your early years.
Yes.
And I'm, you know, and so what I see here, you know, regardless of whatever happened to you, the Lord continued to provide. So leaving Excelsior, yes, you didn't get a chance to become an auto mechanic, but here you were driving a car. So fast forward to, you know, where you are now. You know, looking back, how do you think that your experiences, would you say it has molded you into who you are now?
Thank you so much for that question. As I've said, when I was younger, I had low self-esteem. I was withdrawn. So I hardly got along with my relatives at the house. I used to just lock myself in an area and stay there by myself. You know, I look for everything that was exposed to me. I read and write. How my assertiveness grew was I started writing pen pals. So I used to collect the children's own, and I look for the pen pal era, start writing pen pals. I developed my writing skills, developed my reading skills. So right through school, I was writing, reading. Fast forward to now, that shaped me for this moment. So when everybody neglected me, I found solace in pen and paper.
And you are still writing.
And I'm still writing.
And so now you have written, tell us about your book.
Okay, this is my book here. Island Thoughts, Volume 1. It's a book of inspirational thoughts. They are all my original. I write. I have a Facebook page. It's called The Poetry Man. And the Poetry Man has a different spelling. So it's The Poetry space hyphen space man.
Mm-hmm.
I'm working on 2 other projects, 2 other books right now. So for the persons who listened my story and will be listening after this, they'll get a chance to see that book sometime soon.
And this was one of the reasons why, you know, I kind of scared you, because, you know, you don't want to tell everything. You know, there's some
everything, right?
There was a whole lot more going on, but you know, you have
a lot more going on. So one of my poems I wrote May 25, 2020.
Because I have to take it off. When you're gone for me now, you know. So I have to take it off for you and put
this poem.
Please mute.
This poem. Am I being heard? This poem?
Yes.
Well, I did this as a presentation at Clonmel Primary and Infant School, where I serve as PTA representative.
And so you're now working with the community.
Yes,
tell some of the stuff that you're doing. And yes, he's gonna share his poem. I did ask him to share his poem, share a poem.
Yeah, share a poem. Right. All right.
Tell us about some of the stuff that you're doing and why do you do them now?
All right. Now, I do talks. I go to schools, and wherever I'm invited, I go and do talks. I do some wonderful presentations. I had the opportunity to have gone to Coronal High School to do inspiration to teachers. That's like, what, 9 years ago? I had the opportunity to go at Galena Primary and Infant School to do talks as well. Clonmel Primary and Infant, where I'm at now, the same thing. Lewisburg Primary School. I went there like a month ago. I did a presentation, and I'm an object presenter. So when I come to you, I give you objects, and I build my talk around that. I coach schools at times. I'm not a trained coach, but I'm a track and field enthusiast. So I think I've learned the sports enough to impart knowledge. I did some work with the Bremerville High School, Marymount High School. When St. Mary High School won for the first time in 32 years, I was assistant coach there.
Great.
Eastern Champs, that is. Yes, indeed. And I've worked at other places. I'm on the sports committee at Clonmel Primary and Infant School. I'm on the guidance committee there as well, among other things.
So you do a whole bunch of stuff, plus a lot of community work as well.
A lot of community work. So this is a poem I'm going to share. Now, this poem, as I said, May 25, 2020. It's called Waiting on My Daddy.
Wow.
A hero. Waiting on my daddy, comma, a hero. Pun intended. First day at school, patiently and excitingly awaiting my dad for my promised lunch money. I was still at the gate at 10, missed my class that started at 8 o'clock. You have an imaginary dad. Children laughed and mocked. Daddy, I am still waiting on that excursion, bicycle, music system you promised when I pass my exams. Hello, Daddy. I am still waiting in the park with my head in my hands. The sun is scorching. My stomach says hunger. My lips cry for water. And the tears running down my cheek. Hey, Daddy, are you there? You said to see you at 9. I was here from 7:45. 11:40 just arrived. I am waiting on the sneakers. Daddy, Mommy and I were happy when your plane took off. Now we cry because you took off. Daddy, 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 the door is ajar. I see your silhouette and hear your voice on the inside. Now you are exiting through the back. Daddy, 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 I admire your swift legs. Every second person passes, it's my dad. The next car that pulls up, it's the dad I never had. I am living in a dream world, sitting on the steps, standing at the window, listening for the door, waiting for the promised tuition fee. He didn't show up with the car for graduation. No, he made me a hero who courageously fought for my degree. Daddy, 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 I am still waiting because I love you. Thanks for listening.
Wow. Wow. You know, this is the show where you are allowed not to open your microphone, but just send up an emoji. You know, this is a very heart-wrenching presentation. Through whatever you need to throw in the chat. You know, somebody was like, great, Justice saying great poem, very touching. Yes, it is. And this is a situation that a lot of kids, both males and females, can identify with. And the pain of these situations never go away. You know, you keep reliving it. You keep not wanting to be that man that your father was. This is deep. You know, this is deep. And I thank you because, like I said, and I did, you know, question in the beginning whether or not you were going to bare your soul. And you did bare your soul and said even more in that poem that you closed with. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. And somebody, Mara is saying this is so powerful coming from a male. And you can throw your comments in the chat, whatever comments you have, you can throw those comments in the chat. You know, like I said, I really, really thank you because males, and I had this conversation this week with somebody that we, you know, and I'm not against females, I'm a female myself, but, you know, there are a lot of allocations for females, there are a lot of, you know, groups, there are a lot of things provided for females, but we don't think, a lot of times we don't want to believe that the males, you know, are feeling too, and the males hurt, you know, and the males too, just like us females, we have a past, we have been hurt, you know. Mark Kennedy said, Mr. Gordon, you're a testament that notwithstanding your circumstances, you cannot be kept down. Anita Jackson says, glad you're a better man despite your struggles going up. And Roxanne is just sending just tears. And Anita Jackson says, you know, thanks for being so expressive. Thanks for being expressive. Kadeen, I see your hand up, you know, throw your question. If you have a question, you can throw it in the chat. And like I said, this is why, you know, the VIP room is so important, because this is where you can actually come and sit and have that one-on-one conversation. So I keep on imploring all of you to join the VIP room. We set it up in such a way where there is a way for you to pay overtime. So there's a payment plan for those people in Jamaica. You have there's a promotion going on for the people in Jamaica, because we know how the dollar, you know, because it's an effort for you not to be paying the same that, you know, we are paying here. There is a promotion going on. And if you are in another country and you want, you know, somebody in Jamaica who, you know, would love to be in the VIP room, you can pay for them. You can pay for a month. So there are a lot of options when it comes down to the VIP room. The tech support is throwing the links in the VIP. There are 2 VIP registration links. The VIP registration link for Jamaica only, that's a promotional link for Jamaican only, and there is another link there for VIP registration in general. If you're in Canada, the UK, United States, any other country that you're listening in from, there's another link for you. So, you know, there is this option. And again, so here is, and thank you, you know, here's the question. And I'm very glad for this question, Kadeen. Our question is, and, you know, I'll close out with this question. What are your thoughts to other young men that are going through the same situation?
Thank you so much for that question. I'm going to share 2 thoughts of mine, or 3 thoughts of mine. 1, strive to achieve like giving up never existed. 2, the road to excellence is not always beautiful, but the end always brings beauty. 3, always know that you are never too low to grow. Young men going through situations like these, the answer is not to get frustrated. Find somebody who is willing to give you the best comforting words, and even provide opportunities for you. I didn't have that, but I was strong because I gained strength when my sister came there. The other thing, don't use your past as the instrument that's going to allow you to abuse others. My father said to me, and I'm going to use the Jamaican vernacular. When I went to him once because I had an eye problem, and he said to me, my father never give me nothing yet, so me not forget nothing. When I went to his sister, my aunt, she said nothing like that. In English, he said, my father has never supported me, so I don't have to support you. Young men or men, don't be like my dad. Hurt people, hurt people. I was hurt, but I more use it to heal people. Do something that you've always wanted to do. Find things, find interesting things to do that will bring you through without a doubt. That's my advice to them. I give them one-on-one talks sometimes. So, you know, if I'm able to talk to some of them, I'll give them even more. But let us not be what all people were to us. Thanks for that question.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Going to tech support. I just sent you some information. Can you just post that in the chat for me, please? That is if you need, those are its contact number, its contact information, will be posted in the chat. And so you can, and so we're looking forward to hear you recording some of those poems. We're looking forward to hear you with the poetry book, because your quotes are very strong. And if you look at the flyer, it's a picture with a quote on it that is there on that flyer. So, you know, your quotes are you have very good quotes, and I'd just like for you to just repeat those 3 quotes again that you shared earlier.
Okay, beautiful. Well, some of them are in the book, so I'm going to share them again. One is, strive to achieve like giving up never existed. The road to excellence is not always beautiful, but the end always brings beauty. To know that you are never too low to grow is a great position.
And thank you. And I love that one. That's the one that is on the flyer. To know that you're never too low to grow. To know that you're never too low to grow is a great position. Again, yes, you know, I thank you, and I hope that everyone on Voices Behind the Mask this evening heard that. To know that you're never too low to grow is a great position. So you can never, you know,
some of them are in Island Thoughts Volume 1, some of them are in Island Thoughts Volume 2, and some of them are also on my Facebook page. I'm going to leave this last one. And when I wasn't getting up, because I reflect on my past, and that's how I come up with thoughts. And when I wasn't getting, I saw where I wasn't getting attention from my mother and father, and I came up with this one. Even if your light gets no highlight, keep it shining.
Wow. Even if your light gets
no
no
highlight.
I
Keep it
want
coming.
somebody to grab that, especially those who are pushing themselves into their purpose, especially those individuals, you're starting your businesses, you're just starting college, nobody knows you. If your light is not getting no highlight,
Keep it
wow,
shining. Yeah.
still shine.
Yeah.
Still shine. Kadeen says, thank you, sir. I know you are you go past it all, but I pray for the peace and happiness in your life, sir, continually. And tech support just put the information in Island Thoughts.
Volume 1. That's the name of the book.
Island Thoughts at gmail. Island Thoughts ng@gmail.com.
That's the email.
That's
right.
the email.
Yeah.
And Mark Kennedy said, your thoughts are powerful. My favorite one is that last one. Awesome. Never too low to grow. What a word. Wow. 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 So if you want to rap with him for a little bit, you can subscribe and join us in the VIP lounge. I know people are trying to get used to the new time, but remember the time has changed. The time has changed, and the time now is 6:30. It is no longer 7:30 to 6:30 because we want to accommodate all our viewers also in the UK and other countries it is now morning. We want to accommodate those individuals. Again, I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you for coming out this evening and sharing with us one more time on Voices Behind the Mask, the show where we unmask real people with real stories that are intended to not only impact, but to transform your life. This is your season. This is your season. If you did not, and man, you just hit the nail on the head with the quote. Like I've always said, it's your season now to go, to grow, and to glow in your purpose. It's the go means to get ready. I'm ready. I'm ready to start my business. I am ready to go to school. I'm ready to take on that challenge, whatever it is, and to grow. So you start learning and expanding. And when you peak, that is when you glow. So thank you all. Thank you all so much for joining us here on Voices Behind the Mask. Remember, you need to get your book, Island Thoughts. You need to go ahead. It is in all the major distributing stores here in the United States. How do we get the book in Jamaica?
All right. So the name of the book is Island Thoughts, Volume 1. All right. I don't have any copies in Jamaica right now. I had them at Fontana Pharmacy in Utrecht, but they have run out. I'm trying to get some more in.
So so it's usually in Fontana, but you're restocking. You're trying to all right.
Yes, indeed, right. But it's on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Target, eBay, Walmart, all major stores, bookstores worldwide. It's even in Africa, Netherlands, everywhere.
Right.
Any site you go on, you can find it. Just Google Island Thoughts, and you see the listing comes up. The moment you type in Island Thoughts, even if you go type in Island, you're going to see it just comes up like that, right? The digital footprints have been built indeed, and so for the persons in Jamaica who can't get it or unable to get it right now, please make contact with somebody in another country who can order online and have them send it to you or so.
Until they're available.
Right. But you can get it anywhere in the world right now on all major book websites.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much again, Norman. Thank you for your time. I thank everyone who is here today. Thank you all so much for joining us on Voices Behind the Mask. You are expected to join us next week again, where we are going to unmask another person with another story that is intended to impact and transform your life. And like I said, we are packed this time around. We are moving. The calendar is filled. So if you are a person who is interested, or you know someone who is interested in coming on this show, and what we do is that we do pre-interviews, and so not everybody is necessarily a fit, and so we will do a pre-interview before you actually come on. There are actually 2 meetings before you come on: the meet and greet and then the pre-interview. There is supposed to be a link in the chat if you want to connect. There should be also a feedback form in the chat. If you want to connect, I'm going to ask the tech support, while we are closing out. I'm going to ask to put in the calendar, the link for the calendar in the chat, and you click that link and it takes you to a page where you can make an appointment if you want to speak to us on any level, because we have, if you want for bookings or anything else, you can speak to us. Also, there's a feedback form in the chat, will be in the chat, so you can please give us your feedback, where we really need your feedback so that we can grow. All right, thank you all so much, and please remember the time has changed. I realize a lot of people came on late. I'm so sorry, I apologize. The time has changed. And the time has changed, and the time has changed, and it's now 6:30 Eastern time.
Yeah.
All right, thank you all again so much for coming on. And Norman, it was a pleasure. It was a pleasure having you. You don't have to leave the room. Just make sure you click the necessary link that you need, whether it be the VIP link or otherwise. If you're a paid VIP, if you're paid for VIP, and if you are the guest today, you do not leave the room, because we are moving into the VIP section right after this. Thank you all so much. And again, I'm your host, Alicia Foot, and I will be back next week with another awesome and epic episode 4. Thank you.
Bless you. Thanks to everyone who has listened to me. Really appreciate it. God bless you. We can keep in touch. My contact information is there.
All right. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
you. I just pay.
Close on something now.